Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of artificial intelligence and its role in detecting Alzheimer's disease. There is presently no cure for Alzheimer's, so early detection and diagnosis is key here. There are treatments and interventions that can help manage symptoms and even potentially slow its progress, especially if you start early. Now, with the power of AI, we can catch the telling signs earlier. In this video, we'll explore 8 groundbreaking AI methods that are transforming how we understand, diagnose, and potentially even treat Alzheimer's. Number 8. Analyzing brain images. Our journey into the world of AI-powered Alzheimer's detection begins with brain imaging. Think of the brain as a vast, intricate network of communication paths. When Alzheimer's disease takes hold, it disrupts these paths, leaving behind subtle clues in the brain's structure and function. This is where AI steps in. Using special cameras such as MRIs and PET scans to take pictures of the brain, AI can spot tiny changes in the brain that even the best human eyes might miss. It's like having a microscope and X-ray vision all rolled into one. By detecting these subtle changes, AI can pinpoint patterns and abnormalities associated with Alzheimer's, often before any visible symptoms show up. For example, MRI scans and AI algorithms can measure the volume of certain brain sections, such as the hippocampus, which is needed for forming memory. Shrinking of the hippocampus is typically one of the earliest and most prominent signs of Alzheimer's. In another example, PET scans and AI can detect gradually slowing sugar metabolism in the temporal and parietal lobes of the brain, and this can indicate a gradual decline of brain activity, another telltale sign. Doctors typically look at patterns of these changes rather than single indicators. Early detection is key to providing patients with the best chance of slowing disease progression. Number 7. Speech and language analysis. Our language is a window into how our minds work. When Alzheimer's disease progresses, it can subtly impact our ability to communicate effectively. Here again, AI is proving to be an invaluable tool. Researchers have developed sophisticated AI models that can analyze speech patterns, vocabulary usage, and sentence complexity to detect early signs of cognitive decline. These models can pick up on subtle changes in speech that may be early indicators of Alzheimer's, even before they are noticeable to the human ear. Imagine a loved one who was once a wizard at words, but now struggling to find the right words or repeating themselves more often. AI might also notice changes such as more frequent pauses or hesitations, using simpler words or shorter sentences, more grammatical mistakes, or changes in the rhythm or fluency of speech. These linguistic features can be early indicators of cognitive impairment. AI can compare a person's speech patterns over time, potentially catching changes that might be too gradual for even friends or family members to notice. This technology is exciting because it's non-invasive and just requires someone to speak. It could potentially help catch Alzheimer's early when treatments are most effective. Number 6. Genetics. Our genes hold the blueprint of our lives, influencing our physical characteristics and susceptibility to diseases. Alzheimer's disease has a strong genetic component. There isn't just one Alzheimer's gene. Instead, many genes can contribute to the risk, and they interact in complex ways. APO, or apolipoprotein E, for example, is the most well-studied gene related to Alzheimer's risk. APO variant number 4 is often found associated with the increased risk of Alzheimer's. Another example of a gene is APP, or amyloid precursor protein. Mutations in this particular gene can lead to the early onset of Alzheimer's. It's important to understand that for most people, Alzheimer's disease is likely caused by a complex interaction of multiple genes and environmental factors, rather than a single gene. AI learns which genetic patterns are more common in people with Alzheimer's. It might find that certain combinations of genes are associated with higher risk. Based on these patterns, the AI can create a risk profile for an individual. It's not a definite prediction, but more like saying, based on your genetic makeup, your risk might be higher or lower than average. This technology is still being researched and refined. Its main benefit is that it could help identify people who might benefit from early interventions or closer monitoring. Number 5. Biomarkers in the blood. The search for a simple, reliable blood test for Alzheimer's disease has been a long and challenging one. But now, thanks to advances in AI, we may be on the verge of a breakthrough. Researchers are developing AI-powered systems that can analyze blood samples, looking for specific biomarkers or biological indicators that are associated with Alzheimer's. In the case of Alzheimer's, certain proteins and other molecules become altered or elevated in the blood years before any symptoms appear. AI is playing a crucial role in identifying and analyzing these elusive biomarkers. One often studied biomarker is beta amyloid. Abnormal levels of certain forms of beta amyloid in the blood may indicate the buildup of amyloid plaques in the brain, which is a hallmark of Alzheimer's. Another example of a biomarker is a protein called neurofilament light chain. This protein is released when neurons are damaged, and elevated levels of this protein in the blood may indicate a breakdown of neurons in the brain. AI algorithms can sift through massive data sets of blood samples, comparing those from individuals with Alzheimer's to those without the disease. By identifying patterns and differences in the levels of specific biomarkers, AI can help us develop blood tests that can detect Alzheimer's in its earliest stages, even before significant brain damage has occurred. It's unlikely that any single biomarker will be definitive on its own. Instead, a combination of multiple biomarkers, possibly analyzed by AI algorithms, may provide the most accurate predictions. The exciting part about this approach is that blood tests are relatively simple, inexpensive, and far less invasive compared to brain scans or spinal fluid tests. However, it's important to note that this technology is still in development. The goal is to eventually have a reliable blood test that could screen for Alzheimer's risk during a routine checkup, potentially catching the disease process early when treatments might be most effective. Number 4. Cognitive testing. Evaluating cognitive function is a centerpiece of diagnosing Alzheimer's. Traditionally, this has involved pen and paper tests or structured interviews with a healthcare professional. While these methods provide valuable information, they can be time-consuming, subjective, and may not always capture the full extent of cognitive impairment. Now imagine a world where cognitive testing is not only more efficient, but also personalized and adaptive, thanks to the power of AI. As a result, these tests can become more sophisticated and potentially more accurate. For example, the person can take a series of tests on a computer or tablet, making it more accessible and convenient. These might involve tasks like remembering words, recognizing patterns, or solving puzzles. In addition, AI-powered tests can adapt in real time based on how the person is performing. If someone is struggling with memory questions, the test might give more of these to get a clearer picture. If someone is excelling at problem-solving tasks, the test might increase the difficulty to find their limits. Some telltale signs of cognitive decline may include the person is increasingly relying on memory aids or family members for things they used to handle on their own. Another sign could be increasing problems with planning and problem-solving by the individual. Another could be trouble handling tasks involving numbers such as balancing a checkbook. And yet another sign could be difficulty acquiring and retaining new information. AI-powered cognitive tests aim to detect subtle patterns in these areas, potentially identifying signs of cognitive decline earlier and more consistently than traditional testing methods. Number 3. Imaging the retina. The eyes are often called the windows to the soul, but did you know they can also provide valuable insights into the health of our brains? The retina, the light-sensitive layer at the back of the eye, is actually an extension of the central nervous system and shares many similarities with the brain. This intriguing connection has led researchers to explore the use of retinal imaging as a potential tool for detecting Alzheimer's disease. And once again, AI is playing a pivotal role in this exciting area of research. AI algorithms are being trained to analyze retinal images, looking for subtle changes that may be indicative of Alzheimer's. For example, some AI systems can detect alterations in the blood vessels of the retina, such as narrowing or leakage, which can be early signs of vascular damage that is also associated with Alzheimer's. Another sign could be the thinning of certain layers of the retina. Other AI systems are being developed to identify the buildup of beta-amyloid proteins or plaques, a hallmark of Alzheimer's, in the retina. While retinal imaging is still an emerging field in Alzheimer's detection, the potential is enormous. Some studies suggest that these retinal changes might appear before noticeable memory symptoms begin, potentially allowing for very early detection of Alzheimer's. If successful, this non-invasive and relatively inexpensive technique could revolutionize how we screen for Alzheimer's, making it as routine as getting your eyes checked. Number 2. Gait analysis. Walking is a complex activity that involves many parts of the brain working together. It requires balance, coordination, planning, and spatial awareness. Subtle changes in our walking can be early indicators of cognitive decline and Alzheimer's disease. AI-powered systems use sensors, cameras, or even smartphone apps to record how a person walks. They measure walking speed, length, and width of the stride, and step consistency. The AI can compare a person's walking patterns over time, potentially catching changes that occur gradually. Early Alzheimer's may show slower walking speeds, more variable step lengths, increased body sway, and changes in the rhythm of walking. Often, this walking analysis is combined with other assessments to provide a more complete picture of someone's cognitive health. Gait analysis is non-invasive and inexpensive for assessing cognitive function. It can be done as part of a regular checkup. By analyzing something as seemingly simple as how we walk, we might be able to catch brain changes earlier, potentially leading to earlier intervention and better outcomes for patients. Number 1. Analyzing brainwave patterns. Our brains are constantly buzzing with electrical activity, even when we're asleep. This electrical symphony is generated by the communication between billions of neurons, the specialized cells that transmit information throughout our nervous system. And just like a conductor can detect subtle nuances in an orchestra's performance, AI is being used to decipher the intricate language of brainwaves to detect early signs of Alzheimer's disease. Electroencephalography, or EEG, is a non-invasive technique that measures brainwave activity using electrodes placed on the scalp. While EEG has been used for decades to diagnose epilepsy and other neurological disorders, its potential for detecting Alzheimer's is now being unlocked by AI. AI algorithms are being trained to analyze EEG recordings, looking for specific patterns and abnormalities that are associated with Alzheimer's disease. In the electrical symphony of brainwaves, there are faster ones and there are slower ones. For example, people with Alzheimer's often show more of these slower waves during times when we'd expect to see faster waves in a healthy brain. This slowing could indicate that the brain is having trouble processing information as quickly or efficiently as it should. Another sign could be how different parts of the brain communicate with each other is degrading over time. You may have weakened connections where information doesn't travel as clearly or quickly between certain brain areas. This may indicate that the brain is struggling to communicate or process information normally. AI can detect these subtle changes with remarkable sensitivity, even in the early stages of the disease when symptoms may be mild or not yet noticeable. The advantages of this approach include: it's non-invasive and doesn't involve radiation, unlike some brain scans. It might detect brain changes very early in the disease process, and it's relatively quick and can potentially be done in a doctor's office. It's important to remember that the brain is complex, and many factors can influence its electrical activity. These patterns are one piece of evidence that doctors and researchers consider alongside other symptoms and tests when investigating potential Alzheimer's cases. In conclusion, we've covered a lot of ground today, exploring how artificial intelligence is transforming the landscape of Alzheimer's detection. From analyzing brain scans and blood biomarkers to deciphering the subtleties of speech and gait, AI is providing us with unprecedented tools to detect this disease in its earliest stages. It's an exciting time for Alzheimer's research, and there's optimism for the future. With continued advancements in AI and other cutting-edge technologies, we're getting closer than ever to finding effective treatments and, ultimately, a cure for this devastating disease. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on the latest in medical technology and AI. Perhaps in a future update, we'll investigate how AI can assist with treating Alzheimer's disease. Until the next time.